lesson 3.2, lesson 2 in unit 3, like and unlike terms. We need to know what is a like term and what is a non-like term. So, when we work with integers, remember, integers are positive and negative numbers. So, what do these guys add up to? I've got a 3 and a negative 3. What do I get when I add them? 0. Good. Look at B. Negative 7 adding 7. What do I get? 0. What about a negative 5W and a positive 5W? How many do I end up with? 0. Good. What if I have 6 x squared boxes and I add a negative 6 x squared boxes? So I have 6 red and 6 green. What do I have? 0. Good. They will all disappear. Okay? This is called making 0 pairs. Okay? Making 0 pairs. So, when we work with polynomials, tiles the same shape and different colors are considered opposites. Just like we know, these are our 1 units. So I have a negative 1 plus 1, I get 0. 1x minus 1x, 0. X squared and a negative x squared, 0. Okay, same thing with our variables. All right. Let's take a look at the next. Okay. What polynomial do all of those make? Well, when we've got something like this, first of all, it's telling us reorganize them by grouping the ones at the same size together. Doesn't matter the color, just the same size. So that means I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to group the red ones with him. Okay, now I've taken care of that one and those two. Now I'm going to group the other ones together. I'm going to write my one skinny X there, another long skinny one, another long skinny one, and another long skinny one. They're all 4. I've taken care of those ones. Now I'm going to group together my little guys. Okay, my little ones. I group them together. Now I've taken care of all of those. And I've just grouped them together. Okay? That's what I've done. So draw your new tiles, please, side by side. When we take a look at these now, we've grouped them to match the same size. Okay, so I've got these grouped together when I take a look at them. When I'm looking at the first set I have here, what you've got to do is you've got to take away the opposite colors. We're making 0 pairs. So the ones that are opposite sides together, we're going to pull out of there. They don't belong there anymore. How many do I got left over? 1. What kind of 1? Good. It's a negative 1x squared I have left over, don't I? All right, let's pull out the 0 pairs from the other guys. I have those 2 come out, and I have those left over. What do I have left? What kind of 2?
Number 2.
Negative 2 x's. On these ones, you're going to take a yellow and a red away. And we're going to have 2 left over again. And yes, it's negative. We get negative 2. And those do not have any variables with them. Those are our constants. So now we would write our final polynomial, our answer. So our answer, because it says put it in symbolic form. Symbolic form means write it with numbers and letters. Okay, what I've drawn. So my final answer is going to be negative 1x squared. That's my 1 red I ended up with, my 1 red box. Then I've got my 2 red sticks to give me negative 2x. And I got my 2 little baby boxes that are red. And I put my negative 2. That would be my final answer when I've grouped them all together. Okay, now we're going to write definitions. How do we know if a polynomial is going to be in simplest form? Which means it's finished. Okay, you always finish when it's in simplest form. How do you know? Well, the algebra tile model uses the fewest tiles possible. Okay, so the fewest tiles. That's one way we know. Another way we know is the symbolic form. So the written with the letters and numbers, the symbolic form contains only 1 term of each degree. So there's an x squared, there's an x, and then there's a constant. Okay, with only 1 digit in front of them. Okay, it's only got 1 of each. Now sometimes some of them disappear so you don't have any of them, which is okay too. If you've got more than 1 of the same degree, which means they're the same size object, you've got to add them together and combine them. Okay? So that means you basically only got one of each size object. That's when you know you're done.
It was like 1x plus x, then yes.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. They have to have the same base letter and the same exponent on the letter before you can add them. Absolutely. And then you just add the digits in front. It's like adding how many of the boxes we have of the same. And the last way, the symbolic forms contain nothing with a zero in front of it. If it should have a zero in front, that means it disappears completely. So there's nothing left over with a zero coefficient. If it does, remember, it's gone, it disappears. Okay? Give you a second to write that down. So what we've been doing is finding out what like terms are. So it says terms that can be represented by the algebra tiles that are the same shape and size, they are called like terms. Okay? L-I-K-E, like terms. Okay? So they're showing us some groups of like terms over here. Like terms, small boxes, small boxes. Yep, they're like terms. Over on the right side, non-like terms or unlike means they're different sizes. Here you've got a stick and here you've got two baby ones. Different sizes, they don't match. Okay, you can only combine the ones that match. I could have a big box and I'd have to have another big box to add to it. Over here, if I had a big box and maybe a small box or a stick, those are all different. They are different sizes, so they're not like terms. Okay? Let's look at the next one. On this one, holy cow, look at everything it's giving me up there.
Wow.
What I'm going to have to do now, there's two ways to do it. One way tells us, rearrange them. So you group them together, the ones with the same. Then you take out the zero pairs, the different color ones. So the positives and negatives, you take them out. And then you rewrite what your answer symbolically. So if we were to redraw this, we're going to have our yellows and our big boxes. There's my one group. Now my next group is going to have my sticks in it. I've got 4 yellow sticks. So I'm going to pull 4 yellow sticks down. And I've got 2 red sticks. There's my next group. And then I've got baby boxes. I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 red ones. And I've got my 2 yellow ones. Okay? And that takes care of all my tiles. Now I've grouped them together. The next part says remove the zero pairs. So I'm going to pull down my zero pairs. There's a zero pair. I have a red stick and a yellow stick makes 0. A red stick and a yellow stick makes 0. I've got a red little baby box and a white yellow box and another red box and another yellow box. Whatever you have left over here, the leftovers are your final answer. So it says now, let's write our final answer. Our final answer, how many big boxes do I have left over? I have 1 big box. Good. Is he positive or negative? It's a positive. Good. So I have an x squared big box, and I have 1 of them. Do I have to show that hidden 1 in front?
No.
Nope, but you have to know he's there. How many little sticks do I have? 2. So he gets an x with him. 2x. Positive or negative? Positive. You have to connect it with a plus sign. And what do I have on the very end there? Pardon? What kind of 5? A negative 5. So you have a negative 5 on the very end. This would be my final answer in symbolic form. Okay? Okay, you've got a couple minutes to look at this. Let's see what you come up with. When you group things together, if some of you can actually do it without doing all the steps, that's fine. So what you could do is you could just say, okay, well, I've got a 0 pair, so you can put x's on your 0 pairs. So he disappears with him, and this guy disappears with this one, and this one disappears with this one. So what do you have left over? You've got negative 1x squared left over. Then we can do the exact same thing to our long skinny x's. So I've got 1 and 1 takes away. I've got a negative 1 here, takes away that guy there. And what do you notice? They completely disappear. Okay, so they completely disappear. Now I'm not going to write 0x in there. You just don't write it down. There's none left. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing with my little baby ones. So a red and a yellow. Here I've got a red. There's a yellow. One more red. So I've got those 3 little red ones left. So I'm going to get a negative 1x squared and then minus 3 little baby red x's left. Okay, so that will be our final answer for that. Let's take a look at the next ones. If we look at these ones do not have objects. So they didn't draw them for us. But what we could do is we can still group them. Now we can group them differently now. We can do it with highlighters. We can do it with different symbols. We could do putting boxes and circles and triangles around them. I've got highlighters, so I'm going to highlight the x squareds. So everything with an x squared. Now don't forget to take the sign in front of it, because that negative 3 here, this negative sign is telling us it's a red. So now I've got 12x squareds and negative 3x squareds. What am I going to have left over when I group those two together? I'll have 9x squareds left. Let's take a look at the next ones that I can group together. Well, let's say I didn't have highlighters. Well, I'm just going to put a triangle around those ones with an x, and those guys have an x. They're both positives, so just add the digits in front. 5 plus 6 gives me a positive 11. Don't forget to put your x next to him, because that means that he's the size of an object that is that long, skinny stick. Okay? Remember, those are telling us what size the object is. Then the last one, I could make these as circles, a negative 9 and a negative 2. They're both red, okay, because they're negatives. So that would mean they're both a negative answer. So negative 9 plus a negative 2 will give me a negative 11. That would be my final answer. This is called written in symbolic form, numbers and letters. Okay, I want you to do the exact same thing to me. Push pause now and play when you're ready. Okay, you've got a couple minutes to take a look at that. Let's see what you come up with. Well, if you grouped it together the way we just talked about, your a squared, so I'm going to circle them this time. Don't forget there's a hidden 1 there. You're going to have 33 a squareds. If I take a look and I do my a's, well, let's do a's as a triangle. I've got 25. Subtracting 2 is 23. Uh-oh, positive 23, subtracting 23. My a's disappear completely. I have none left. All right, let's take a look at my last ones. I've got a negative 6 and a negative 2. Now, you can do exactly what I just did. Use different shapes to group them. Use different colors to group them, whichever you find easiest. So now I'm going to add my negative 6 and negative 2 and get a negative 8. This would be my final answer. Remember, you're not going to write down those a's, those long skinny sticks, because they all disappeared. All right, let's see what you got for the last 2 questions. You have a couple minutes to work on these. Well, let's see what you got. Don't forget, when they're sitting side by side, they must have a side-by-side matching pair. So the only thing that can match our 3xy is the 6xy, and they're both positive. Okay, so I'm just going to add the number in front. That gives me 9 xy's. Now I'm going to do the same thing and find all the other matching ones. It's a big matching game, basically. So my y squareds, I'm going to circle my y squareds. I'm going to have a negative 1 and a negative 5 to give me negative 6y squareds. Now, if I take a look, does anything add to this x squared? No, I can't add the x squared to my y squareds because they're different letters, which means they're not like terms. Now, it's the same size object, but they're not like terms because they have a different letter. So that means he just gets written by himself, nobody to add to, but I have to write him down. I'm going to look at my little baby negative x by himself there. You're going to notice he's all by himself. So this one right here, he's by himself, like I said, so nothing adds to him. So you're just going to tack him on the end. Subtract, if you want, you put that 1 in front, x. That would be your final answer. Check your work and make sure you did it right. On B. Well, with B, same type of thing. You're going to group together things that match. So the ones with ABs I'm going to group together, and this guy has an AB. I've got some red ones and some black ones, or red and green, whichever you want. Red's negative, green positive. So negative 12 plus 10 is going to give me a negative 2 ABs left over. Those guys are done now. Now I need to take a look and see if I've got anything else that adds together the same. Well, if you take a look, you've got some A squareds. Here I've got A squareds, and here I've got A squareds. I have a negative 6 and a plus 2. So you're just going to add the digits in front. Negative 6 plus 2 gives me a negative 4 A squareds. And you're going to notice the B squared and the 7, they have nothing in that group that will add to them. So you're just going to tack them on the end and write them beside at the very end. So they come down, and you're going to have a plus 3B squared and a plus 7. Okay, they just get added on to the end. This concludes lesson 3.2, like and unlike terms.